It doesn't make any sense at all, and it creates these weird situations. So that's the best way to combat that, I think. Just do it right at the end of the regular season. Maybe wait, maybe wait an extra couple days or wait an extra week to start the postseason.
Yes, I would.
I mean, what's the difference if they're finishing the finals beginning of June or middle of June, or maybe towards the end of June? What's the difference?
It's no difference. I totally agree with you, but I just don't like that. I don't like that because, to me, when you start looking at things, I still don't like, and I don't like the fact that Donovan Mitchell should have got Rookie of the Year.
He should have.
I'm sorry.
Ben Simmons is not really a rookie.
No, he's not a rookie. Like, they got to get rid of that rule. Like, that rule it's a stupid rule. Like, to me, like, a Rookie of the Year is someone who comes into the NBA. This is their first year underneath. They're like, Ben Simmons had an advantage. How's his advantage? Number one is advantage because he's being trained by professional athletes, being trained by professional coaches the whole year, even when he was hurt. I mean, in the beginning of the season, he played in summer league. He played in the summer league, and he played that. That's still professional ball.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't agree with that whole entire, oh, he's a rookie. That's a bunch of BS, man. Donovan Mitchell was a pure rookie. He should have got Rookie of the Year. I'm putting the stamp on that. I'm not gonna. I can't debate on it. I can debate all day with somebody who says something different. But there's no way that he shouldn't have got Rookie of the Year.
I'm with you on that one 100%. He should have gotten it. A little disappointing that he didn't get it. Basically, Rudy Gobert, he takes home the Defensive Player of the Year. Did you like that one?
Yeah, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
He was a shot blocker around the hole. I also kind of like that one. I really don't have nothing bad to say about that.
Yeah, not bad. I thought that one was deserving overall. What did you think about Bill Russell flipping off Charles Barkley?
Oh,
this was hilarious.
That was classic.
All over social media.
That was classic. You know why it works? It works because Charles Barkley is the most controversial. Everybody loves Charles Barkley because he has no filter. He's going to say what he wants to say, and Bill Russell just played along with it and said, okay, I'm going to show you I ain't got no filter either, and flicked them off. That was perfect, man. And you know what? Barkley took light of it. It wasn't like he was pissed off or anything or mad about it. He smirked about it, too.
Yeah, he loved it.
So, that's Charles and that's Bill. I like that. I like that moment. I think it was great.
I liked it as well. I thought it provided just some great color to the whole award show in general, and everyone seemed to have a good time. It was totally a packed house. I saw Tori Kelly was there as well, so you had some people outside of the basketball world who was really into this award show last night, and it was well covered overall by TNT. I thought they did a good job. I mean, some of these outfits, though, Keith, man, too. I mean, James Harden. I mean, that was different. I don't know what he had going on there. It was these guys were definitely bringing out the fashion statements overall. I saw Kyle Kuzma rocking a little purple, I want to say, as well on the red carpet there. Yeah. So, I mean, these guys were definitely they were dressed to the nines for sure.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was a very good night overall, and they kind of did a good job of capping off the season. But, yeah, just to kind of get back to the original point, it was just way too long to wait for this show to take place. Way too long.
Yeah, it's got to be. They got to do a better job of that, I think. We shouldn't have to wait that long. I mean, for a while, you're like, okay, basketball season is over. You're trying to move on. You're like, wait a minute, who's MVP and the Rookie of the Year? Who's the sixth man of the year?
Yeah.
You start thinking about that. But they haven't announced it yet. These guys are on vacation. And LeBron he's like, I'm not coming to no freaking event. I ain't going to get he was like, forget that. I'm out of town.
Yeah.
I get it.
Easy.
So, but
he's gearing up for his trip to come out here permanently.
Yeah. Fucking that up. Anyway. No, I look at it like, look, congratulations, James Harden. He still, to me, he represents the West Coast because he's from L.A.
Yeah.
And well-deserved. He played a great season, but what I just think is that, LeBron, and if you look at the storyline behind LeBron, and really, to be honest with you, I'm not a huge, I've come on this show many times and debated against LeBron. And talked about James Harden. But I look at it and I look at the storyline, what LeBron James had to do with the team that he had at first, and then they depleted his whole team and him taking them to the postseason, and not just to the postseason, winning the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, I forgot to tell you, didn't he also take them to a championship? Yes, they got swept, but you're playing against the Golden State Warriors. Who can beat them? Like, no one can beat them in the series.
To be fair.
Yeah, to be fair about it. And he did a great job with that team. And to me, James Harden, yeah, you did your thing, but to me, like, to get over the hump, to me, you would be the MVP if you got past Golden State and you had a chance. But you didn't show up. In the last 2 games, I didn't see, it wasn't too many James Harden sightings.
Unless I missed something.
I saw a lot of Chris Paul sightings before he got hurt. After that, it was like, okay, you knew it was over. So to me, that was his time to, like, and I thought it was going to come down to that, because it was like they in the Game 7, Cleveland's in the Game 7, the 2 MVP candidates. Who's going to be able to catch them over the hump and deliver to the championship? To me, that should have been that's what I'm saying. Postseason should have been a deciding factor for that, because LeBron went further.
Exactly.
And that's clearly, to me, is the MVP. But
I'm there with you. Maybe 1 year they'll change it up a bit.
Yeah.
We shall see. Just getting started tonight here behind the mic.
I'm sorry,
live
those
from
tacos.
Patrick Malloy's. Just going to say, it is Taco Tuesday. They keep rolling them out back and forth. It's a revolving door here, right?
Yep.
They keep them coming. They never disappoint. I mean, these are top-tier tacos. Can't state that enough.
Yeah. Steak, carnitas, the fish.
They do it all.
They do it all. They do it big here.
Doesn't matter what you like. They got it for you here at Patrick Malloy's.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking a lot about the NBA award show that happened and went down last night here in Los Angeles. They interviewed Jeannie Buss on the red carpet before they went inside for the awards to get some of her thoughts on free agency. She was keeping everything very tight-lipped before that July 1st start date coming up on Sunday. But she did talk about the draft picks, Keith, and specifically Mo Wagner. Very excited. They just introduced Mo Wagner and Slee, who I think we're calling him here Short. That's his nickname. They introduced their first 2 draft picks today, and a lot of optimism from all corners of Lakers Nation at this one, especially the Mo Wagner pick. Everyone keeps saying he's a very high basketball IQ type of a player. Jeannie mentioned that as well. That's what they're looking for long term. She went on to say she has a lot of confidence in Magic and Rob and their vision for the team, not only with the free agents that they could potentially bring in, but with the draft pick. So she was very happy. She kind of gave her seal of approval for this 2018 draft. And obviously everything then turns to the free agents, and Magic Johnson in his comments today basically saying that, he's getting a little chippy with the media and saying that, don't call it a failure yet if we don't lure big-time free agents this summer here in 2018. But if we're at this same juncture next summer at the end of 2019, I don't have anything to show for it. Yeah, you can basically say that it's been a failure and I probably shouldn't be here anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't judge me, though, on one summer because, if that's the case, he basically went on to say that there's a lot of guys across the league that shouldn't even be in their positions right now then.
Yeah.
So very telling, interesting comments there from Magic. Look, I think he is feeling a little pressure here. Some of that he's put on himself.
Yes.
And, when you make room, number one, for big-time players to come in, when you make cap space and the ability to sign a couple max players, there's going to be natural pressure that comes in. And then, some of the comments that they've made about it, obviously that's just ratcheted it up a bit. So, look, it all starts on Sunday, July 1st.
Well, you got to look at this, man. Magic Johnson is L.A. Let's call it what it is. Like, I don't think he has any pressure. I think it's more of like Lakerland. Just people are just really overexcited, and they're excited for the fact that, dang, like the Lakers are probably going to get LeBron or blah 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 blah. But you got to remember something, man. Like Magic Johnson was. Think about what he's done. Everything he has touched, blessed, has been successful in terms of business, in terms of franchises. You got the Dodgers. He's gotten. What did he do with the Dodgers? What did he do when he was with the Sparks? Championships. When he was with the Dodgers, World Series.
He's got that magic touch.
Got that magic touch.
He's got the Midas touch.
did we forget about the Starbucks he has and the Magic Johnson theaters he has? Like, the dude has done so much for the city. Like,
you're right.
Nothing. We shouldn't be pressuring that man on anything. We should really just let him sit back and let him do what he does and kind of be patient. Look, if we don't get LeBron, we don't get LeBron. If we don't get Paul George, we don't get Paul George. But the Lakers are going to get somebody.
Hey,
you gotta
exactly, and not to cut you off, but look what he's done to begin with.
Yeah,
where he's come from, him and Pelinka coming in to the moves they've made to already clear up space and to get to where they are now. They've done a lot already.
Yeah. They've already done a lot. They're making moves. You kind of let them do their thing. I understand Laker fans, myself. We're tired of seeing the team getting beat up and this and that. We want to get back in the playoffs. Look, there was something today that came out about the NBA increasing the cap space or something like that. It's now $75 million or something like that. It's something that came out today with the NBA. Look, man, the NBA wants the Lakers to do well. They want, to be honest with you, they do. Let's just call it what it is.
They've been getting killed with the Los Angeles and New York markets not being in the postseason.
Exactly. It's going to happen eventually. So, you just got to be patient. Let the chips fall where they fall. But the Lakers will be better than they were next year. If we're expecting them to, this is going to be the funny thing. We come in, LeBron comes in, everybody's going to expect him to get us a championship next year.
I'm telling, next year, not this year. Yeah, this year, that's crazy talk.
But I'm just saying, LeBron comes in and signs with the Lakers. Oh, we're going to the championship. No, we're not. Like, you forgot.
They're going to compete.
You forgot. There's a big old Great Gatsby up north. Like everybody forgot about the Titanic up north. There's. Oh, did I want to remind you that Dwight Howard is now talking to the Golden State Warriors? Y'all forgot about. Y'all don't know about that breaking news here on Behind the Mic. But yes, like they're getting better. They're not getting worse. That team is getting better, and in order to beat that team, like. It's going to take a few years. It's not going to take one season. I'm sorry. You can Paul George, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard comes in with the group that we have. They will be able to compete with them, yes. But will they be able to beat them in a 7-game series? Absolutely not. I'm going to say it right there. I'm calling it out. You're not. I'm sorry. You need not in 1 year, not in 2 years. Maybe in 3 years in their season they'll catch him, but that team's on its prime and they on a 6.7 wave, and it's growing. It's not coming down. Not this year and not next year. If they pick up when I know they're gonna probably pick up, So
it's even crazy to entertain those hypotheticals of the Lakers with the LeBron. Comparing them to Golden State and even doing like hypothetical like conference finals, conference semis type of playoff scenario and see how that would play out. It's just crazy at this point in time. Now, if you get LeBron, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard, now we could probably talk a little bit.
We can talk. They're gonna, like I said, they'll make it probably to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
they could probably, and I'm
saying
they're
probably better at that point than Houston.
Yeah, they're better than Houston. They'll compete with Golden State. They'll probably take it to 7, maybe 6, but they ain't beating them.
Probably not.
They're not knocking them off. You know why? Because they still ain't got no matchup for no Steph Curry. And let's just call it what it is. Who's assassin?
Not to mention Durant.
Yeah, Durant still does what Durant does. And then you still got. And then look, don't let good old Dwight Howard, if he decides if they do get him, could you imagine? I just couldn't visualize, like, Dwight, all you got to do is pick and roll, get to the basket. We'll throw it to you when you open.
That's it.
All you going to do is be our rim protector. But, dude, that's a lot of firepower, man. So, like, what I'm saying is you got to really – Lakers will really have to go – in order to really compete with that, Lakers will probably – I'll go 2 for 1, be like, pick up JaVale McGee. Lakers grab JaVale. Or grab somebody so they can be able to match up with that. But – you got to have a lethal guard out there like a Chris Paul who could be able to compete with a Steph Curry. Ain't too many guards in the league that compete with that boy, and he's tough. He's an assassin himself, and he what makes everybody say KD is great, but I'm gonna say this: Steph Curry's what makes that engine go.
Always.
He makes that engine go, and that's the bottom line. You got to have something for that. And so I look at it as, hey, I think the Lakers they would definitely compete. The city will be exciting. I'll be pulling for them. And today, well, I'm probably going to go to the grave, but I'm going to tell you, I can't see them beat that Juggernaut over there up north.
Behind the Mic returns after this.
Every 17 minutes, make a wish.
I'm sorry. I can't see it.
Awesome. They tame dragons. They bring Saturn to Earth.
Yes, sir.
They help superheroes save entire cities.
Yeah, of course. How are you?
They even make unicorns
Good.
fly. All to give children the strength they need to fight
Have a good one, man.
illnesses. Every wish takes muscle. Help us make sure every wish comes true. Join us at wish.org.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move to bring out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Everybody buckle up. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
Buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
This is Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Awesome.
Welcome back, Behind the Mic. Once again, live here from Patrick Malloy's, BehindTheMicShow.com. Download that official Behind the Mic app. Check out all of our live streaming going on right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. A little NBA award show recap before the break. Talked a little bit about that. Talked a little bit about the Lakers, their draft picks from last week, introducing them officially today to the media here in LA. We got Jeannie Buss and Magic Johnson's comments from earlier today and yesterday as well. Everyone's excited. A lot of Lakers fever right now throughout LA, and for a good reason, actually, because, I mean, let's face it, in about a week or so from now, this Lakers team could look, or maybe 2 weeks or so, this Lakers team could look dramatically different from what it is right now. So obviously we'll keep tabs on that as free agency looms coming up on Sunday, July the 1st. Now, though, we turn the page and talk a little Angels baseball. Let's bring in Vincent Page. He joins us now from Halo Hangout, a part of Fansided.com. Vincent, how are things going tonight, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're doing really good. You know, still trying to figure out, actually, if yesterday's tribute to Jackie Robinson in Kansas City was the latest in-season tribute to Jackie we've ever seen. I think that's safe to say at this point, right?
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, I mean, obviously it's the makeup for the original April 15th game that was rained out or snowed out. They had just awful weather there in Kansas City back in April. So they made it up yesterday against the Royals, or the Angels did, and they lost it. But nonetheless, it was the return of Tyler Skaggs, Vincent. I'm curious to get your thoughts on him. And basically, coming off the hamstring injury, he pitches yesterday for the first time. Were you surprised at how well he pitched, especially bouncing back after injury?
Nothing with Tyler Skaggs surprises me at this point. He has just come in this year. I wrote a piece about him this morning. He has come in this year with all the hype around Ohtani and Garrett Richards and everyone coming back from injuries. Tyler Skaggs was kind of overshadowed throughout the season, and to see him come in and be a legitimate ace for the Angels has been one of the most exciting storylines this season that no one's talking about. He's one of the top 5 left-handed pitchers in the MLB right now. And his game against the Royals yesterday was arguably his best of the year. The frustrating part comes that he never gets any run support. He's had 2 games this year that he's allowed more than 5 runs or 3 runs. And he only has a 6-5 record as a starter, and it's getting more and more frustrating. But Tyler Skaggs has been a legitimate ace for the Angels, and he's only getting better. The past 4 starts, all the starts in June, he has a ERA below 1, and his strikeouts have been increasingly getting better and better.
Vince, I went to go watch the Angels play against the Diamondbacks like a week ago, and I just wanted to know just your thoughts on where's the state of mind or where the team is right now. Where do you think they're going to be in the month of July? Because they were kind of red hot in the beginning of the season, and then they kind of teetered off a little bit due to, like you said, some injuries and things like that. But where do you see them lying in the month of July?
That's a tough one. As an Angels fan, I want to say they can regather. They always seem to have a special month.
He's breaking up a little bit.
It seems like they kind of just lost their heart, once Ohtani went out. And Mike Trout's been playing best baseball of his career the past 2 weeks, but their record does not show that. And, the bullpen, the only thing that's consistent is the starting rotation, and even that's a little iffy now with these guys that were just having come in and make these spot starts. The bullpen hasn't been reliable. The offense has been inconsistent. Coaching decisions have been iffy. You know, with all the injuries piling up, it's really catching up to the Angels, and it's going to be hard for them to come back from the deficit. Right now, they're fourth in the AL West behind the A's, which I don't think anyone thought that would be true at the end of June if you told them that at the beginning of the season. You know, if they get good news with injuries, you know, if Garrett Richards can come back, if Shohei Ohtani can come back at least a little bit, you know, maybe as a hitter, it'll help their chances a lot. But they dug themselves quite a hole. It's going to be interesting to see if they can get some ground in July.
Angels insider Vincent Page joining us from Halo Hangout at fansided.com. Let's talk about Shohei Ohtani. You just mentioned him there a moment ago, Vincent. We're not going to know until Thursday as far as if his latest injection to help with his recent injury was effective or not. What is the outlook on him? Are they optimistic, do you feel, within the organization that he's still going to be able to contribute to this team at some point in the second half of 2018?
You know, everything I've read and everything I've heard from, you know, people with the Angels and everything, everyone remains very optimistic about Shohei Ohtani. And, you know, Billy Eppler's been very adamant. No one has said the word surgery to him. And he said he's not even going to consider surgery until an actual doctor tells him it's an option. And something we've seen with Billy Eppler quite a lot is PRP injection. It's the same thing that Ohtani got. They did it with Garrett Richards and Andrew Heaney. They both got that at stem cell in 2016. Back when Eppler was with the Yankees, Masahiro Tanaka, it was used on him. And he said, you know, obviously it's not 100%, but every player is different. And for the past few weeks, you know, Ohtani's just been resting. He's been taking batting practice to keep his timing on. And it seems like they're very optimistic that he'll be able to come back at least as a hitter this season, you know, while his elbow covers. Another interesting thing that I've been hearing is, you know, maybe he comes back as a reliever because, you know, a 100-mile-per-hour fastball and, you know, the best splitter in baseball coming out of the bullpen. That's exactly what the Angels need right now. They need to get a close-out game. So if they can even get him back just in that capacity as a hitter, as a reliever, I think the Angels would be very happy if he could do that by the end of 2018.
Vincent, do you think that Mike Scioscia would be on the hot seat if he doesn't make the postseason this year?
You know, everything I've heard, it's, you know, if Mike Scioscia wants to come back for another year, Billy Eppler is very comfortable with that. And, you know, I don't have any direct sources with that, but everyone I've talked to, they've said, you know, they're like both sides are very comfortable going, just, you know, letting the contract end this year without having an extension planned out. And the vibe that you get from the entire Angels organization is that if Mike Scioscia wants to come back, they're very happy with, you know, what he's done. And, you know, last year the Angels' record didn't really show it, but Mike Scioscia was one of the better coaches in the league. Like, he handled the bullpen really well. Obviously, there were a few bad outings. You know, that's going to happen in a 162-game season. This year, I don't think he's doing as good of a job, but I think if Mike Scioscia wants to come back, I think Billy Eppler would welcome him.
Let me follow up with that then, because you just said that he's managed the bullpen really well. Is it really about managing the bullpen really well, or when it really comes down to it, it's about winning and getting into the postseason?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I said, what is it really about? Is it really about managing the team, or getting into the managing the bullpen really well, or winning and getting into the postseason?
You know, personally, I haven't been the biggest Mike Scioscia fan the past few years, and I think there's some things he could have done better. This year, I think it's really showing. Mike Scioscia's always played favorites. You know, he finds a veteran that can do the job, and he sticks with them when, you know, a young guy is showing, you know, maybe he can do the job even better. We saw that last year with Bud Norris. You know, Blake Parker was the best reliever for the Angels, but he, you know, kind of relied on Bud Norris to close the games, even when he wasn't getting the job done. But this year, there's a lot. You know, Cole Calhoun, he had whatever was going on with batting. Obviously, there's injuries to their starting rotation, the bullpen. Keenan Middleton going down was probably the biggest injury the Angels have seen this year? I know Tawny's big, but there's a chance he comes back. Losing Keenan Middleton for this year and probably at least half that team, that's big. Because that guy has the potential to be one of the best closers in the game. And I don't think a lot of the blame can fall on Mike Scioscia this year. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the blame goes on Epler. A lot of people were very excited over the offseason. We got Cozart, Zach Kinsler, and Kinsler's been coming on strong recently, but Zach Cozart, it's been really hard to watch him just regress back to what he is now after such a career year last year. And Epler does this thing where he tries to find, value in the bullpen. Guys he's not going to have to pay a lot, but it's not working out this year. And, Mike Scioscia's doing as good of a job as he can right now, but I just don't think the Angels have the talent that they need to get to the postseason this year.
Angels fall to the Red Sox today, 9-1. They haven't won a series, Vincent, in a couple weeks here, and that's been against bad teams. They're getting smoked against some of the best teams that the American League has to offer. The biggest team need for this team now, obviously you said they're lacking a lot of talent, but what's the biggest need for this team right now?
The Angels could really use a guy that can throw 100, has nice breaking balls, that can also hit for power from the left side of the plate. But Ohtani's going to be out for a while. That's exactly what they need, though. They need a consistent bat that can come in, that can hit for power. And they need bullpen more than anything. Like, the offense is inconsistent, but we've seen flashes with the offense. And guys like Kinsler, he's getting it together. Calhoun has shown since he came back. But the bullpen has just shown no signs of life recently. And I really think getting not one, but 2 or 3 relievers that they can trust late in games is going to be really important for the Angels this year. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see if they're good, if they're going to go for it this year, like they did last year, get Justin Upton and Brandon Phillips, or if they're going to kind of sell like the good relievers they do have at the deadline and just reload for 2019.
You see, Vincent, I watched when I went to go to the game and I saw them play the Diamondbacks the other day, and I followed most of their games. And a lot of times the Angels like to come back from behind. It's the same thing that happened. The Diamondbacks jumped out on them, and they jumped out in the first 2 innings, and they had about like four runs on them at that time. And then so they already started in a hole, and then they come back. They make a run back, but it's like late in the 7th inning. It's going to the 8th inning. They make a run back, and then, pretty much was all she wrote. Diamondbacks hits a home run in the 8th inning, I think it was going into the 9th inning, and then that kind of depleted them from there. And my point is with it is, it's like, to me, when I look at them and I'm like, wow, you look at them in the beginning of the season and they're doing so well, and they, like you said, they're very talented. They're a talented group of players, and you see that talent, and then all of a sudden it falls off. I'm like, where did that happen? Like, I don't understand. Like, these are the same guys that started the season to now. How did that all of a sudden happen? Is that, like, to me, like, I look, it's like, dang, is it the lack of focus? Is it the lack of trust within each other in the team? Or because it just doesn't it doesn't just add up to me, you know what I mean?
Sorry, I lost you a little bit there. Do you mind repeating that last part?
I said it just kind of doesn't add up to me, that the trust, because I look at a team that's been pretty much, in the beginning of the season, they were rock and rolling, and then all of a sudden they kind of just teeter off, and it feels like what I'm looking at is a team that they get jumped on in the beginning of the innings, and then they come back. That shows that they have a lot of talent on the team, that they can come back from deficits, but they just can't close the deal. And I just want to know, like, is that, do you think it's due to maybe a lack of focus, or what do you think that is, that why they get jumped on in the beginning and then they seem to zone in and try to make a run towards the end?
Sorry, man. I think our signal's getting crossed up with something.
That's okay,
a lot of background noise.
That's okay. That's okay, Vincent. I was just basically saying, like, they tend to get jumped in the beginning of the game. They teams tend to get a lot of runs on them, but then they come back, and that shows that they got great talent. And I just want to know what was the reason for that. Why do you think that they're getting jumped in the beginning? People are jumping on them so quickly, and in they're having a hard time closing in on them. It's beginning to be like too late. Why do you think that happens?
The only words I'm really thinking of are comeback. I'm not sure if we're talking about a player or the team. Sorry.
That's okay.
So we talked about the bad, Vincent. We know this team has a long way to go to getting more consistent, things like that. You mentioned they could use a lot of help out of the bullpen. Are they going to make a splash, first off, at the trade deadline? Can they get more guys out of the bullpen?
Yeah.
Can they maybe make a splash for a guy on the field as well at the plate? What do you think they'll do? Will they be active buyers at this trade deadline?
Gotcha. Sorry about that, man.
That's okay.
When right after that, Billy Epler calling in on it. And I don't see the Angels going for a Machado or anything like that. The biggest name I really see them getting is Mike Moustakas. They were connected over the offseason, but we all know how his market went. No one really wanted him. They wouldn't owe him a ton of money because he's only making like $8 million this year. He wouldn't be very expensive. He's a free agent at the end, and it would give them a nice little third baseman duo with Cozart and Moustakas. Maybe platoon it. Maybe Moustakas can play first. It would just give them that nice bat on the left-handed side. And in terms of the bullpen, I think there's a lot of interesting guys they could maybe pursue. Zach Britton's one. It'll be interesting to see how he performs. There's a lot of guys out of the bullpen. We see Billy Epler do this a lot. It's just not working out this year. Find valuable pitchers. I don't see them making a huge splash because Billy Epler's also been very adamant about keeping his farm system together. At least the guys he's drafted. I think we could see a guy like Taylor Ward get dealt. Billy Epler wants to deal any of our top prospects that he helps bring in. I think he really wants to come up to the system together. And they're all supposed to the big leagues around 2019, 2020, 2021. Around the same time, Trout's supposed to be a free agent, and I think he wants to use their future and their potential as a way to tell Trout, hey, look what.
Vincent Page joining us on Behind the Mic from Halo Hangout at Fansided.com. Vincent, you mentioned Mike Trout there, the big fella. Is he having the best season of any player we've ever seen at the plate?
I'm only 20 years old, but he's having the best season I have ever seen by anyone not involved with steroids.
Yes.
That's true.
That is key.
Maybe the best season ever. His WAR is on pace to break Babe Ruth's record for, I believe, the 1929 season.
It's incredible.
He's on pace for so many ridiculous numbers right now. And every time he does something amazing like he is right now, when he went through one of the worst slumps of his career earlier this year, he had like an 0 for 22 streak at the plate. His on-base percentage was still above 500 because he walked 13 times. The guy is just the best baseball player in the league, probably in the past 15 years that we've ever seen. And every time he does something amazing like this, I'm just reminded 2 years from now, he could very well be on his way out of Atlanta. And it's so bittersweet. But yes, I believe Mike Trout is having the best season I've ever seen and possibly ever.
What about Albert Pujols? If you right now can grade his season, how he's doing, what grade would you give? What grade would you give Albert Pujols?
I'm sorry, Albert Pujols?
Yeah.
Right?
What grade would you give Albert Pujols right now? How his season's going?
I mean, Albert Pujols. He's not. I'm a believer that maybe he is a couple years older than he says. His career arc shows that. And obviously, we're paying him way more than we should be. And you can argue he shouldn't even be an every starter. But there's something about watching Albert Pujols every time you watch an Angels game, just that if you see something amazing happen, you can see Albert Pujols. I know we're known with barely any legs left. It's really fun to watch, and he may not help the team as much as another guy can, but I have no complaints with Albert Pujols. At this age and at this point of his career, I think Angels fans can all agree, we're overpaying him, but it's really fun to see him in the lineup every day.
Okay.
Agreed. It's hard to argue with that one. And the fact that you mentioned before, I just want to go back real quick about Mike Trout potentially losing him to free agency in a couple years from now. The fact right now, Vincent, is super telling in itself.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because Mike Trout is not in the national sports media.
No, it's not.
And it's a shame because this is one of the best players right now in baseball, if not the best player. And because he's playing in a market that's somewhat overshadowed, number one, it's on the West Coast. Number two, it's overshadowed by the Dodgers in a sense out here in L.A. So that itself is because this is a guy who should be under contract for life with the Angels, the team he's with, right?
Exactly.
So it's sad to even have that conversation. I think Major League Baseball needs to do a lot better job of promoting their star athletes.
Yeah, but you know what? I think you got to also. I was just going to touch on that, Brad. Go ahead.
Mike Trout. Sorry about that.
No. Go ahead, Vince. Go ahead,
I
Vince.
think Mike Trout. I think part of it is he doesn't want to be, this huge, branded athlete with all these endorsements, doing all these commercials. I think part of it really does that include his lifestyle. There's a story in the LA which was at that point it was the most in-depth we've seen. The Angels thought on Mike Trout, and Mike Trout thought on the Angels. And each time constantly, harassed by fans, asked for autographs. And I think that's why he likes Anaheim. There was a quote. Someone asked him about, what it'd be like to play on the East Coast, for his home team, the Phillies or wherever he may go. And he said, "Oh, I love Anaheim. I love playing because I love being in Philly." And that's really cool to hear. But it's so hard for me to imagine him staying if we haven't even been to the postseason by 2020. And back, I think, like 3-4 years ago, before he signed his first extension, Mike Trout wanted to sign a 15, so just a lifetime deal, keep him there forever. But the Angels were hesitant on, for God knows what reason. He used to be the highest paid player in any sport. So I think we're seeing a lot of evidence that he does want to stay in Anaheim, but if we're not showing him that we can compete, because he's also talked about how awesome they would be to win a World Series, because who doesn't want to win a World Series? If we're not making progress by 2020, it's really hard for me to believe that Mike Trout is going to stay in Anaheim.
Yeah, and that's my point. And my point is, Mike Trout is like the LeBron James of baseball. And he deserves to be in the postseason. He deserves to be in the postseason. He's that type of player you want to see in the postseason. And I think what it really comes down to is this. You got to remember that, I got to just say this. It's in the beginning of the season, we were talking a lot of Angels.
Yeah.
And that's my point is why? Because they were winning.
Also, the Ohtani factor.
Ohtani factor was in there, but also they were winning, and the Angels were right at the top. They were like only a couple of games back, or they would be 1 minute they're in first place, next minute they just found the second. I think it's just what happened. It's just like the injuries, like Vince said, that happened, and it kind of just teetered down and stuff. And now that we're worried about what's going to happen in July. We're hoping they can possibly make a wild card. Because why? Everybody wants to see who? Mike Trout. They want to see him in the postseason. So that's my thing. I think it's more of the case that I think he wants to. I think he wants to. He's happy where he's at, but he wants to be in the postseason. And I agree with Vince. I think I can see him saying, I gotta move on because we're not doing anything to get to that point. So I'm like, what is going to get them to that point? Is going to make that jump? What do they have to do to get to that point? And it's really confusing to me when I watch them play because I'm like, there's talent on this team. To me, there's a team is talented when you're down 7 runs and you can come back within 2 runs and almost win the game. And you just can't close the deal there. To me, it's like they are a very talented team. They can go places.
Sorry, I heard bits and pieces of that.
Yeah, we're just talking about, Vincent, how the team is close.
Yeah.
I think it's almost been like bad luck a lot of time here, bad fortune, where they got the pieces in place, and then the injuries come into play.
Yeah.
And then you know what? When they're back to full strength, then they're just missing a reliever or two that can kind of close things down out of the bullpen, right? And that's what we talked about, the trade deadline coming up. What can they do potentially to bring in some new guys? Time will tell to see what they'll specifically be able to do. But the team is close, no doubt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're playing in a division with one of the
tough.
best teams in baseball with the Houston Astros right now. Not to mention that the Seattle Mariners are overachieving. So it's tough at the
And the
moment.
Oakland A's.
Hey, right, can't forget about Oakland
A's, too.
either.
Yeah, can't forget about them. But
No, it sucks. It's a lot of bad luck, like you said. You know, injuries, just poor play, like regression. You know, having so much money stuck up in T.J. Wilson, John Hamilton, Albert Pujols over the years. You know, a lot of it sucks, and it's bad luck. But eventually, you know, you've got to start thinking maybe there's something with the organization. And, you know, they've been making changes. They went from Jerry Dipoto to Billy Epler, thank God. But, you know, Billy Epler has to show that in this last year he went out and he got Justin Upton. And then he re-signed Justin Upton for probably a lot more than he would have made on the open market. But, you know, he showed the initiative. This year, you know, we've heard rumors he's going to go get Kelvin Herrera. He didn't. Maybe he can go get someone here. I don't think he wants to give up top prospect. I think he's a huge believer in, you know, not panicking, you know, balancing the future and the present. And I really, really want to believe that we have the pieces in our organization that can have us contending by the time Mike Trout hits free agency, which I think if we're contending, you know, if we're putting our name, maybe not up with the New York Yankees, Houston Astros, Boston Red Sox, but if we're up there with the Mariners and all those other teams competing, I think if we're up there, if we're really, really threatening for a postseason spot, I think he'll stay in Anaheim.
Vincent, I gotta ask you this, and please, I hope you hear this. Do the Angels, free agency will be coming up for him in 2 years. Do the Angels next year, if if they're not progressing, do the Angels trade Mike Trout to get better pieces for the franchise that's going to help them probably get over to the top? Do they trade that?
Sorry, I'm losing you guys again.
That's okay.
So, talking about Trout again here, Vincent, in 2020, instead of risking Trout leaving and walking away from this team into free agency, do the front office of the Angels, do they decide to trade him away or prior to then to get value back?
Like a Machado situation.
Yes.
Oh, man.
It's hard to swallow,
I haven't
but
really thought about that much, you know, because like a couple years ago we heard all these rumors like, oh, the Angels need to trade Trout, get a ton of prospects, contend in 2 years. But, you know, that's tough. Mike Trout's going to be in his prime when he's a free agent, which is going to be really amazing. We don't see a lot of players like that.
That would take a lot of discussion.
Yes.
A lot of sleepless nights, I would think.
There's no way I would see the Angels trading Mike Trout before. I couldn't see him doing it. A lot of it has to do with there's no price for Trout. You know, you can give 3 players that can equal his WAR, but none of them will be nearly as good as him. And there's no way I can see Billy Epler saying, you know what, we're going to give up on him. Especially with him always, especially with all these quotes of him saying, I love LA, I love the Angels. There's no way I see them trading. Like, it's very obvious, but Machado, just for an example, doesn't want to be in Baltimore. He's been very vocal about, you know, I want to contend. Baltimore's not doing that. Mike Trout hasn't said, I don't want to be in Anaheim. He said the exact opposite. So there's no way I could really see Billy Epler being like, you know what, we had a good run. Let's trade away the best player possibly ever.
He's Vincent Page, Angels insider for Halo Hangout at fansided.com. Follow him on Twitter at VincentPage74. Vincent, thanks so much for joining us tonight here on Behind the Mic, my friend. It was great chatting with you. A couple weeks to go here before the All-Star break. Let's see this team get a good push here going into, setting themselves up for a good second half.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. Thank you guys for having me.
Anytime.
Take care, Vincent.
There he goes once again. Vincent Page joining us here on Behind the Mic, covering the gamut with everything Angels related. Really interesting, great question you posed there, Keith. if they would consider trading him away to get some type of max value prior to him walking away in 2020.
Yeah.
Now, this is the ultimate team player, as Vincent alluded to there.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's going to, toe the company line. He's going to say all the right things about staying in Anaheim, staying an Anaheim Angel or Los Angeles Angel. And, but at the end of the day, superstars, they want to win.
They want to win.
That's why they play the game to win, ultimately. And it's a killer to see him, number one, be on a team that has not been able to be fortunate to get the postseason, and two, they don't get a lot of big-time spots on national television, and namely because they're on the West Coast. That's part of it. But also just the fact that, right now they're being overshadowed by other teams in the division, especially the Astros.
Yeah. I think the bottom line is that, look, when they were winning and they were up in first place, second place, we were talking Angels.
Yeah.
And everybody was talking Angels. It was covered. And you'll see their games. You'll see a lot more.
It was in conjunction with the Dodgers,
exactly.
their worst start in 60 years.
Exactly. And then now you see what you're seeing is a switch, and you're seeing the Dodgers now on a roll, and now you see the Angels they're bouncing all the way down to the bottom of the barrel, and all of a sudden, there's no one's talking Angels anymore. So you have to, for the Angels franchise, look, I understand he's a great player. I understand that he's well deserved, and the city love him in Anaheim. He's the Kobe Bryant of LA. He's he's of baseball. He is Anaheim, right?
Absolutely.
Mike Trout is Anaheim.
Easily
but
the face of that franchise and the best player ever to come through there.
This is the thing a lot of other players are going through. This is the thing the Portland Trailblazers are going through right now with Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. And it's the same thing in the MLB right now. You have Mike Trout. You have a star-stud player who has been with you guys from day one. You have not been successful. He has not been in the postseason since he's been there. Your whole point of bringing him there is he's going to get us over the top to the World Series. I don't think it's called giving up. They're not giving up on him. It's just hey, we want to make a better situation for you and a better situation for the franchise.
Yep.
And it's 2020. We're not still getting over the hump or whatever. You have to have that in consideration of now we got to look out for our franchise in terms of what we want to do. And my thing is, I think they have to trade him.
I don't think they have the guts to do that.
I don't think they have the guts to do it. I don't think you have the guts to do it. But just imagine the pieces that you would get for a Mike Trout. Think about it. You can get a 3-for-1. A very good pitcher, a very good closer, a hitter, maybe a great outfield out there as well. Mike Trout, yes, no one's touching him with that, but you're getting a 3-for-1 that'll probably come up rather than get nothing when he's done in 2020. He just walks away. Now you don't have anything. So now you're back.
That's why it's so important that this team makes the playoffs this year, and that just leads towards building what they're going to do next year in 2019.
If you don't make the playoffs this year, you have to start considering it in 2019.
I think so. I think so. I would entertain it. Absolutely. Are they going to do it? I don't think so for a myriad of reasons. Number one, he's a huge ticket seller for them. He's a huge ticket seller.
You also have Ohtani in there who's going to be a
That's true. That's true. The jury is still out on Ohtani, though, if he can have the level of success at the major league level that Trout has had here over a long, extended period of time. So that remains to be seen. Also to mention that Trout's a guy who's been extremely healthy throughout most of his career. So he's got that longevity going. Ohtani here, we're going to find out later this week how long he's going to be out with the injury status that he's currently got going on. But injuries play into it as well. Face of the franchise. Should be the face of Major League Baseball, but he's not.
Why is that? Why not? You're with a franchise that's not winning. The franchise is not winning. You're on that franchise. You got to win games. That's what it's about. It's about putting up W's and getting your team to the postseason. That's what it's about. And I'm saying that Mike Trout is not doing a great job. He's doing a fantastic job. He's putting up the numbers. He just doesn't have what I think is this. I think he got a talented team, but they just haven't meshed together. I mean, to me, they meshed together in the beginning of the season. What changed from the beginning of the season from there? Where was the drop-off?
They got killed with injuries in the rotation.
Yes, and I understand that happens. Hell, Dodgers got killed with injuries too.
If any team knows it.
And so, but the thing is, it's about these players know how to bounce back and focus in and zone in. They know how to do. These are professional athletes out here. And the thing is, if they can't dig themselves out of a hole, then you have to start considering making other moves. And that's just more of a business sense of things.
They have to be open-minded to it at least.
Yeah.
You mentioned Vincent there. Say they got to get some bullpen relief help at the deadline. They're going to need to. I hope, Keith, that they're all in. That's my big concern with this team. Are they all in for 2018 to make a real push to get into the postseason? You mentioned that wild card. They have to be big-time buyers, though. That's got to be the mindset at the deadline. And I'm concerned that it may not be.
Yeah, I'm concerned, too. I think.
And that kind of goes into your point when you asked him about Mike Scioscia being on the hot seat. I don't think he is.
No.
And I think it would take a colossal meltdown of biblical proportions for him to really be on the hot seat with this team. He's not going to be fired if this team doesn't make the playoffs.
And that's the problem.
That's my prediction.
That's the problem, though. The problem is that there's no repercussion for this, and they're going to continue to hit rock bottom like this because there has to be some type of repercussion.
Got to be accountability.
Yeah, I mean, to me, is people are too comfortable. You can't get comfortable in one place. Sometimes you got to shake things up.
There's a lot of franchises, not only in baseball, but in all professional sports that are like that right now.
Yeah, you cannot be too comfortable. I think that's the problem with this Angels team, is they're comfortable, and everybody loves each other, and it's howdy-doddy, and it's like, are you about...
It's a nice atmosphere.
Yeah,
it's a great place to go down to a game. I mean, hell, sometimes I say to people that it's more enjoyable than going to Dodger Stadium because of the crazy traffic getting in and out over there.
I'll say this. We'll put it like this. What's the difference between the Angels franchise and the New York Yankees franchise? The big difference is what?
27-1.
Okay, but
in World Series?
In champ, why? Because they expect that every single day. If the coaches and stuff cannot deliver, no matter who a coach is there, they're firing you. You're out. You're out of there. If you're not performing well, they would trade you, and they've done that. They've done that to major players on their teams before. If you don't perform well, it's a privilege to be on the team. And that's the way the Angels have to be. They have to be that type of thing. You got to start taking notes from why are certain franchises so more successful than others? And you got to take a page out their book. There should be a zero tolerance of why, if we got the best player in baseball, we should be winning.
They should be. They absolutely should be. Part of it is not their fault with all the injuries they've had, but at the same time, like you said, Keith, they got to push through that.
Yeah.
It's got to be next man up mentality. The teams that are able to embrace that type of mentality and push through those times obviously rise to the top a lot more so than those organizations that do not do so. So they have to start getting into that. They can't fall into the trap of blaming it on injuries, obviously, and blaming it on the Astros and the overachieving Mariners and even the A's at this point in time.
Exactly.
They have to find a way to push through that. And obviously they can reconvene here in a couple weeks with the All-Star break coming up, and they can really take a good hard look at what they'll need to be able to compete in the second half. A big thing that's going to kickstart that will be on Thursday. We'll get the news with Ohtani and really his outlook for the long term here coming up. So that's where it starts with this team right now.
That's where it starts. And, hey, hopefully they can bounce back. I'm pulling for them. I really do. I watched that game, and I said, when I sat down and went to that game and I watched that game, I said, wait a minute. This team's talented. To me, it doesn't make any sense why they're losing like this. And the only reason I can say, I'm like, dude, that's just plain and simple a lack of focus, man. Like, for real. Like that.
Like
really
the Dodgers at the beginning of the season. A lot of lack of focus.
It has nothing to do. It's like they got on this high roll and they felt, hey, we're going to be fine. We lose a couple games, whatever. Now they find themselves, they're losing too many, and they find themselves at the bottom of the barrel. And that's the problem. That's the issue, man. To me, it has nothing to do with, like, they need more talent and this and that. The bottom line is, like, focus. When you can be down 7 runs and come back and win the game.
Like you said, they've already proven they can do it.
They've done that many times. Look at their stat. Look at the scores in some of these games and the comebacks they've had, but never close to deal. There's many of them that happen. It has nothing to do with injuries. It has to do with a lack of focus and bad plays that they're making, and that comes down to focus.
And they're not beating the best teams.
No.
They can't even beat some of the mediocre middle-of-the-pack squads, but they're getting clobbered. Once again today, like I mentioned, up there at Fenway in Boston, 9-1, they lose to the Red Sox. It's interesting. When we see the Angels or the Dodgers or any local teams to go up against some of the best teams, and you know what I mean? And we see these blowouts. There's like no doubt in our minds that that's a true indication of how far ahead some of those teams are and how far behind some of the teams like the Angels are right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt in anyone's mind. You can't tell me, come on here and say tonight, Brad, I mean, they lost today 9-1, but at the same time, they're battling injuries, so the gap's a lot closer. Get out of here with that. There's no way you can tell me. They 8 runs of a difference. That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably the gap right now between a team like the Boston Red Sox and the Angels are where they're at.
Yeah.
It's no different when these two played each other a couple months ago out here down in Anaheim.
Exactly.
There's no difference.
There's no difference. I mean, this team was competing with Boston at one point in time. You got to, if you go back, they played the New York Yankees. They got clobbered by the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
But you played the Houston Astros before that. You beat the Houston Astros 2-0 and then 8-7. All right, this is when they had that winning streak.
Yeah.
You know, they had the winning streak, then they went down here, and then all of a sudden, this is my whole point. And then they lose to Houston Astros, but you're competing with the best teams. You still have the same type of team on your roster. There's no difference. You still were winning games in May. You know, Baltimore, you beating Seattle, who's in front of you. So, I mean, when you look at it and you look down the road, then they just fell off. They teed it off. They teed it off from there, and it's just.
They came out of the gates really hot. Now
they
they
beat
cooled
the
off.
Yankees, Brad. They beat the Yankees in May. They beat the Yankees in They clobbered them 11-4. I mean, that's the best team in baseball right now.
Absolutely.
So you cannot tell me that they're not talented. You can't tell me a team is not talented when they beat the top dog team that's expected to win the World Series 11-4. This doesn't make any sense to me. So, to me, what I think it is this: injuries. Yes, that happens, but injuries is always an excuse that everybody talks about, and it kills me because I'm like, look, these are professional athletes. Everybody gets injured. They have people that it comes off the bench, and you got to be ready to step up. So step up, and. Look, Mike Trout's the best guy in baseball. He deserves to be in the playoffs. And I'm gonna say it again. I think the Angels need to consider it if they don't make the playoffs this year. They got to consider it and look at themselves and say, what? We have to change some things. And then Mike Scioscia should definitely be in the hot seat. Bottom line.
They're consistent. Yeah, they're consistently inconsistent.
Yes.
There's no other way around that.
Yes. That's the problem. That's the problem with the team.
Back to Trout, though, for a second. Talking about having one of the best seasons we've ever seen. His numbers, you can pull them up. Batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, that trio right there, it's on pace, like Vincent mentioned, to match what Babe Ruth did in the 1920s. And it's on pace to do the same with Barry Bonds' 2001 stats.
Yeah, without steroids.
Without steroids, exactly. It's just incredible what the guy is doing at this point in time and how we're comparing the stats to that. And again, his ability to do this and just to push through. He's done this now with, different, obviously facing all kind of different pitchers throughout baseball. He's homered in every single ballpark in the American League, except Fenway, actually, where they're playing right now this week.
And getting clobbered. But, again, he's playing his tail off. He's doing what the right things to do, and then it's the pieces around him that need to step up, you know? I mean, and the thing is, it's about really having a collaborative effort in everybody, and that's the problem with the Angels. The Angels don't have consistency from all their players. Mike Trout, the game I saw, Mike Trout had he had a quiet moment, but he had a leadoff going into the 9th inning, which was a big leadoff when they played the Diamondbacks at that time. And, and that's what I'm saying. He steps up when he needs to step up, but guys need to come through. And the guys that are playing on the field, the guys that are there, forget about the injury. If you can step out on that field and play, then I don't care about it. Nobody's talking about injury anymore. You're going there to perform. That's what it's about.
Everyone's got to deal with it.
You got to deal with it. You got to deal with it.
At one point or another.
At one point, that's what you're getting paid the money to do. You go out there and deal with it, close the deals. And so, until that team comes together as a unity and actually makes that step forward, man, you're going to continue to see these great games by Mike Trout, but the Angels lose. Or Mike Trout had an okay game, and the players play well, but the team pulls it off. The team doesn't win. That's what it comes down to. They got to, as a unit, everybody has to play well. Everybody.
Got to find that balance.
Got to find it. Somewhere they got to find that, and they just haven't found it. We thought they were over the hump in the beginning of the season. And well, let's play like this. They found it. They found it because they were almost in first, second place. Yeah, they found it, but they lost it. And they need to figure out where it was lost. And it didn't come from no injuries. It came from a lack of focus from all these players that they had, and that's where it came from. They got to figure out where it's at and then put it right back together.
Meantime, the boys in blue, they're up 1-0, by the way, right now over the Cubs. They opened up a 4-game set against Chicago last night over at Dodger Stadium. They won last night 2-1. Up right now, like I said, 1-0 over the Cubbies, heading into the 5th inning over in Chavez Ravine. Dodgers are going for their 5th straight win tonight.
Yeah.
They've been hot recently. Did you see the stat, by the way? They beat the Mets now 12. They swept the Mets over the weekend. They beat them 12 consecutive games now, dating back to last season. They really own the Mets at this point in time. But the Dodgers, we've talked about it, and how they've been on a tear here recently outside of that series last weekend on the road at Wrigley against these same Cubs, in which they fell 2 out of 3 games. They've been really hot right now. So really, again, Angels, Dodgers kind of trading places.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely trading places. Matt Kemp has been and stepped up, and I believe he made the All-Star team, right? I believe
he's leading.
Yeah,
he's leading. They're still counting votes with that, but he's absolutely leading in the outfield.
Let's just say he may make. Most likely, he should make it.
I don't think there's any question.
I think he'll be robbed if he doesn't make it. It'll be a travesty.
You got Kemp out in the outfield. Mike Trout, no surprise there, is leading in the outfield for the American League.
So the team, they've been like I said, they've been on a wave. They've found a way to win. They figured it out, and now they're just rolling. And the thing is, what I like about the Dodgers is right now is they may drop a game, but they come back and they just start consistent putting up 2 or 3 more W's, and that's what you want. You don't want to get accustomed to losing, and so that's what you see there, and that's why they're where they're at. And they got guys stepping up. Remember, this team was depleted. We were talking about they need to trade up and all this stuff, and
we're talking about them acquiring a player like Manny Machado.
Yes, and look what you're seeing. You're seeing guys step up. Cody Bellinger is playing well. Guys that you never thought were going to be doing something, they are. Yasiel Puig starting to come alive again. It's like that's what you need, and hopefully they can get to that point and they start to, like I said, but their test to me, because they're doing well, is when they play the Yankees. When they play the Yankees, and I believe the Yankees do they go to the Yankees? I think they go to New York to play New York. I believe they do. I'm gonna look at their schedule right now, but I believe they go to New York this time. So
I think do they play each other in August?
I believe it's in August. We're gonna see it right now. They play the Yankees.
I don't think they do. I
thought they did play the Yankees this year.
The Angels did.
Oh, the Angels did.
Angels played them at home.
The Dodgers don't play them this year. Wait, hold on. That's the first half.
In the World Series.
Second half of the season.
Maybe in the World Series.
Yeah, maybe in the World Series we can see them there. But
because the National League is wide open at this point.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about the National League. The big-time talent right now is in the American League as far as team play goes. With Houston, the Yankees, the Red Sox. I mean, that American League East race is going to be fun down to the final weekend of the regular season.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers are in a great spot to be in where they're at right now in the National League, where there's a lot up for grabs. I mean, look, you have so many surprises, like the Phillies in the National League East have been a big surprise. The Atlanta Braves being a big surprise, leading that division at the moment.
Yeah.
The Cubs are playing better as of recent, like we just demonstrated with that Dodgers-Cubs series last weekend at Wrigley Field. So the Cubs are starting to find their stride a bit. But other than that, you got a lot of surprises across the National League. So I guess in a way, if there was going to be a time in which the Dodgers were going to get off to a bad start, it didn't really hurt them so much now looking back that they started that bad at the beginning of April.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to just say this. It's the Astros, I meant to say. Houston Astros, that's going to be their test. To me, when the Dodgers play the Houston Astros.
Oh, man, that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a battle.
And I think the difference, if you want to talk about that series for a sec, when that comes about, is going to be the pitching.
Yes.
Because the Yankees, I don't think can go toe-to-toe with that Astros starting pitching.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. You got Justin Verlander as your ace thrown out there. Dallas Keuchel still pitching well. Charlie Morton. I mean, just go through them 1 through 5. I mean, they are really, really solid. And despite the fact that the Yankees are blowing the doors off of everybody right now, again, the pitching wins in October at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I still want to see Aaron Boone tested in a big-time spot as a manager. I don't think he's really got that moment yet.
Yeah.
I think it'll come at some point. But no doubt, that's going to be a fun series, those two teams.
Yeah, totally. Totally going to be a fun series, and it's going to be a high-scoring series, too.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You would think. Yeah. Again, this is a good year for Major League Baseball in the sense of we talked about how there's so many bad teams, and there are, but there's a lot of good teams and a lot of great stories. There's a lot of parity if you kind of push aside what the Yankees are doing, and with the Astros coming off the World Series last year, you got a lot of parity right now across Major League Baseball. That's definitely a good thing for everybody, and I don't hear too many complaints from that angle right now.
Yeah. Hey,
Keith, I'm excited about baseball. I'm more into baseball right now than I am the World Cup, to be honest. I am.
It's great. And look, baseball is great right now. There's a lot of storylines.
I wish I was more into the World Cup.
Let me tell you, man, the World Cup, man, because it only comes so far. Why? I think because USA's not playing in the World Cup. That's why you're not excited about it. And I get it, but soccer's internationally known. It's national, and it's what these teams are doing out here, and you see the different countries out here playing. You know what? It's a storyline behind the countries that you're starting to see. Like when you're watching these teams play, some of these teams, they go to these third world countries, like Iran, for instance. They needed to win the other day.
Yeah,
and they're in Russia, and it's this nice atmosphere they're playing in Russia. It's like it takes you away from what's going on outside of Iran. Like Iran, we know it's a tough place to go. And right now, it's very tough to be at. A lot of war things going on around there, and that's what they go back to. And you come here, and the story they're playing their hearts out, so they can really stay here for longer. And it's crazy to see like this, the passion of all these men, and also the women. What they do, all these different countries who play, and how they come together for it, and then the fans cheering and chanting throughout the whole entire game, the different cultures. It's a sight to watch, man. I love it. I'll stay up. I'll watch all 3 games, right?
Man, you're totally dedicated.
I'm serious. I would get up sometimes. I will be up to 3 in the morning. If it starts at 4 in the morning, 4 a.m., oh, I'm up. I'm watching it. I'm gonna watch the game. I'm gonna watch it. So it's a great story.
I haven't even done that yet for the London games.
You got to
for
do
football.
it. You got to do it. Just I gotta tonight. You gotta watch a game tonight. Just sit down and watch one game. Trust me.
I watched bits and pieces of it. I haven't watched the full game straight through.
Try to watch a full game, and try to watch one when it's like Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi still in it.
Yep.
So Messi.
I've been following Messi. That's been intriguing to me because it's his last World Cup.
Yeah.
So I have been watching Argentina.
Watch a little bit. Neymar Jr. from Brazil. Watch it. There's so many great storylines over there. And then you got Suarez from Uruguay.
That's been interesting. Yeah,
Watch
that
him.
storyline.
Check him out. Check.
There's good storylines. It's just again, maybe as we get more down into the knockout rounds.
Yeah,
here
we're in it now.
Or once we kind of narrow the field down a bit.
Yeah,
I think it'll be even more compelling. More so to maybe just the fan that's trying to casually get into it, sort of say.
Yeah.
But there is good storylines.
That's pretty much what they do. You know what? I like to lead. I've been watching them. But I also like to watch going into it, the leading into the knockout rounds, like those teams that are desperate and they now got to get in. Like there was a game the other day of who was playing. They kicked the indirect kick and went and it was goal the last second. Germany had literally was on the brinks of getting eliminated, not even being in the tournament. It hasn't been for years. They've never done that. They were one of the best teams in the tournament, and it came down to the last about 10 seconds. They had an indirect kick right outside the box, popped it in, game over and won the game.
That's what it's about.
And I was like, oh, wow. You see the time counting down. They needed that score, and they got it right in there at the very end. That was a sight to watch. I was just like, wow. And that was like early in the morning, like 6 in the morning. It was like 5 in the morning. I was like, oh, all loud and stuff.
You wake the house up.
The neighbors are probably like, what the hell is going on over there? So, yeah, soccer's great, man. It's fun. It's a fun sport to watch. You enjoy it. Check it out, fans out there. Check it out. It only comes for it once every 4 years.
That's right. It's gone in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, it's gone like that. The women's going to come up. That's going to be good to see, too.
Next
I like
year,
to
yeah.
watch that. Yeah, so we'll see that next year. But, you know, enjoy this. Enjoy this. Messi's still playing. Still playing, brother. You got to watch him.
We roll on here from Patrick Malloy's on this Tuesday night behind the mic. Brad and Keith hanging out. A lot of great tacos flowing. The drinks are as too. Taco Tuesday, don't forget. We're here until 9 o'clock. Coming back for more after this. Stay tuned.
Every 17 minutes, make a wish.
That was good. I had a
Yeah.
I like Vince. I think
They
Vince.
tame dragons. They bring Saturn to Earth. They help superheroes save entire cities. They even make unicorns fly. All to give children the strength they need to fight their critical illnesses. Every wish takes muscle. Help us make sure every wish comes true. Join us at wish.org.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Everybody buckle up. Mom. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Welcome back. Brad and Keith hanging out here live from the one and only Patrick Malloy's Hermosa Beach down by the pier. A lot of baseball chat tonight about the Angels. We had on Vincent Page a little while ago from fansided.com talking all things Halos. We talked a little boys in blue as far as the Dodgers are concerned before the break. Let's get into some NBA news now, Keith. Some stuff going on today across the association. The Clippers here locally traded away Austin Rivers to the Wizards for Martin Gortat. Obviously, it brings to the end the Doc Rivers, Austin Rivers, father-son relationship as far as, you know, the coach-player goes on the same team, the first in NBA history. You know, that's tough. And to be fair to Austin Rivers, this could not have been easy, playing on the team where your dad is the head coach. That's tough. Not only like in the sports world where you have that dynamic, but in business as well. That's never easy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's definitely a weight was lifted off that family's shoulders to some extent with this trade.
It was. I think Jerry West is over there, and he knows what's going on. One thing about Jerry West is I'm going to say this. I'm going to get into the whole Austin Rivers situation, but I want to reverse. I want to kind of like go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Remember during the NBA draft, they had a chance to pick Michael Porter Jr. and everybody's like, "Oh, somebody who picked," but they didn't. Back to back, he had back-to-back picks, and he did not. And that's what was scary, I think, for most of the GMs. There's a wait a minute, Jerry West is passing up on Michael Porter Jr. What is going on here? And that's how respected this guy is in terms of seeing and knowing talent. You know, he's developed the Golden State Warriors. He's developed the Lakers. Remember, he's the one that brought Kobe Bryant to us. And he knows talent. And you got to, in a way, you're looking at it, you got to look over your shoulders. You got to see what they're doing over there. And every time he picks somebody up, you gotta definitely be watching to see what Jerry West is doing, because he's definitely that type of guy who knows what he's doing. And it goes back to the Austin Rivers Gortat situation. I scratched my head a little bit on it, and I said, well, wait a minute, why would you go get Gortat? Why would you get
it's a dying breed with the big man.
Yeah,
he's one of the last pillars standing.
Yeah, why Gortat? Well, you know why? Because I think Gortat's not even owed any money next year or whatever. Austin Rivers, I believe, just signed a new contract last year.
Yeah.
So they got rid of that contract. I believe they got rid of that contract.
That would make sense.
And they're trying to make a play for a bigger player in the market. And there's a lot of free agencies and guys that are going to be open and that will be able to come there. And I think Jerry West is making a smart move, and I think it's a smart move. Yes, it's sacrificing his son, but now it's like, hey, Alistair Rivers, man, yeah, you were basically, you had a blanket over you the whole time. Your dad's not going to cut you from the team. Now you got to really perform, But the Clippers did not have. Let's say what it is. They don't have a starting point guard. Patrick Beverly's not a starting point guard. Austin Rivers is not a starting point. They're
the only
great
reason
backups.
we're talking about Patrick Beverly is because of LeVar Ball
Yeah,
basically
come
calling
on.
out his name.
These guys are not starting point guards. You want a point guard in there who's going to be able to run the show. You need a franchise point guard. You had Chris Paul, for Christ's sake, and you don't have him anymore. So you need some type of caliber player, Kemba Walker, that may be available. You need something of that type of caliber, C.J. McCollum, or
you need move the needle type of a player.
Yeah, you need a point. You need
and they're not getting LeBron.
No, they're not.
It's not happening.
So, but they're keeping their eyes open because they're saying, hey, we may be able to get something. Jerry West, trust me, everybody's focused on LeBron and focused on Kawhi Leonard, but Jerry West is like this. While y'all focused on him, I'm focused on this man right here, Anthony Davis. Or I'm focused on this man, Boogie Cousins, that wants a contract coming back. I'm focused on those guys. And then people are forgetting about those guys. And that's what you got to be careful about, because they can be a team that can be automatically, if he makes the right moves, Jerry West can put this team together and they can be a top 3 team in the West. If he does his
very
right.
quietly too,
very quiet
overnight.
So you got to watch what he's doing, man, and so it's fortunate. Austin Rivers is gone. I know he was a huge fan. He has a lot of fans out here in L.A. He's a solid player. He's a solid backup, but he's not a starter. And it's like, hey, you got your money now. You got to go in there and earn the rest of whatever you're going to do. So. He's over at Washington now.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be, he'll back up behind John Wall, who'll possibly be there if he's going to stay there, or they'll probably let him go. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, time will tell on that one, just like a lot of other things. But it was interesting news that came down today. And you're right. I mean, so much about Jerry West, Keith. I mean, he's always doing the thing that no one has their eye on. Always targeting the player, monitoring the teams, just exactly as you said there. And today, and you're right. I mean, so much about Jerry.
From the pickup for the draft, I believe he did.
They very well might have.
He was a kid from the academy.
Yeah,
he went to the academy and then he didn't play the college.
They traded away their first pick initially.
Yeah,
and then they held on to 13.
Yeah, they held on to 13. I believe that's him. My internet's a little slow right now, but I'm gonna see if I believe that was him. Number 13 pick. Here we go. Let me see. I passed it. Okay, here we go. They got Bridges. That's their 12th pick. They traded away their 13th pick, right?
They got Bridges, the kid out of Villanova or Michigan State?
The Bridges, the kid out of Michigan State.
Okay.
And then they traded away the 13th pick?
They only kept one of those.
Oh, wait. They got the boy from the Sixers. The kid from the Sixers was he didn't go to LA. Did he go? No, he didn't go to LA. He's the one that got traded. Bridges, right? Was that the one from the 76ers? The 76ers pick.
Oh, yeah,
from Villanova.
Yes, that was the one where the mom was the worker, and they were all happy, and then they're basically were deflated.
And he got traded
after he got traded to the Clippers.
Was the Clippers on the Suns? Damn it! He may have got traded. I think he may have got traded to the Suns. I think he must have got traded to the Suns. I'm wrong on that. He got traded to the Suns.
So he was traded to Phoenix.
Yes, he was traded to Phoenix. Phoenix picked that pick up.
So the Clippers definitely got here. Okay, so they got Alexander out of Kentucky.
Yes.
That was their first round pick, and Jerome Robinson. Is that your out of the academy? Is that what you're talking about?
From the academy. I think he may have been the second round, and he may have been the second round.
Okay.
So my internet's a little slow.
There was a couple trades they did here because initially they traded away the first pick, and then they somehow might have gotten it back.
Yeah.
There's a couple things that went down that kind of confused people.
It confused people with the Clippers.
However, the big pickup was Alexander from Kentucky.
Yes.
That was the big pickup.
That was the big
draft pickup.
But what I'm saying is the guy, I believe the guy from the academy they picked that kid up. And if I'm wrong, sorry if I'm wrong, but I thought it was him that he got picked up. And what I'm getting at is Jerry West knows talent, and he knows what to pick up and what not to. That's why he passed up on Michael Porter Jr.
Exactly. Denver, they're rolling the dice with Junior that he can become the player for them. We shall see. That's a risk that most people were not willing to take.
No, absolutely not.
So that was the big news today as far as the Clippers are concerned locally here in the NBA. We talked about Magic Johnson's comments and Jeannie Buss's comments yesterday on the red carpet before the NBA Awards show back in hour number 1. And, obviously it's going to be interesting. Like I said, July 1st, that's the official first day, start of free agency coming up here Sunday. And, everything is very tight-lipped. As far as the ownership goes for the Lakers. Yeah. And, we shall see what Magic Johnson and company are able to do.
You know what? I got to say something. Just thinking about the draft. I was talking about this, and we're looking at the draft and everything.
Yeah.
I have to just rub my shoulders a little bit. A kid that I used to train actually got picked up for the Indiana Pacers.
Oh, yeah?
And he will be on the Indiana Pacers Summer League. He didn't get drafted, but he got signed. Elijah Stewart from USC.
Speaking
shooting
of that,
guard.
I'm glad you brought that up, Keith, because the Lakers, I wanted to get into some of the guys they picked up as well, including Joel Barry from North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And there was another notable, too, that they picked up. Barry was one.
I know what you're talking about.
I was kind of excited to see some of these guys that are going to presumably play in Summer League.
Yeah.
And Barry's was one who had a very underrated career at North Carolina.
Yeah.
They won the national championship the one year he was there. He got to 2 the one year they lost to Villanova. But I thought Barry was... We'll look up the other one here as well. Yeah. But overall, they, again, as we reflect more so back... Malik Newman.
Yes. Oh, Newman.
Out of Kansas. Yes.
And I was thinking about... I was like, how in the hell did Malik Newman not get picked up, get drafted?
It's hard to believe some of these guys actually got picked.
Yes.
Over these other guys.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
How did Malik Newman not get drafted?
Well, he was a guy who was somewhat of a late bloomer. He was a late bloomer, late in the draft.
Duke.
He did.
Killed Duke.
He was
right there when he killed Duke. I said, "Oh, he's going to the NBA."
Yeah, you thought maybe initially just being a prisoner of the moment, he would be a lottery pick.
Yeah.
But this is a guy, like I said, very much so a late bloomer. I don't think he did much in the regular season. Really turned on the Jets in March Madness.
Yeah.
That's where he became a household name here.
But that's going to be a good pickup because the Lakers, we had talked about and mentioned in terms of shooters. They need shooters.
Yes.
Of course, these guys still need to get contracts and things like that. But Malik Newman is a great pickup. I think that's a steal. He should definitely be drafted. But, shout out to those guys that didn't get drafted but still believe that they could get a chance to get in the league. And look what's happened. I'm just so proud of Elijah Stewart. I remember seeing this kid. When he first moved out here, I was in Playa Vista. I'll give you this story real quick. I was in Playa Vista, Del Rey. I lived in Playa Vista. I was shooting on the courts out there in Playa Vista, playing around. And we were playing some 3-on-3. This kid came in. He started playing. He was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just trying to find some pickups around in the summertime." And he was only he was going to be a sophomore. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm coming from Louisiana and stuff." It was him and his uncle. He was living with his uncle out here. I said, "What school you going to, man?" He was like, "I don't know. I think I may go to Westchester." Westchester was right down the street. Westchester's known. And I said, "Oh, if you go to Westchester, you're gonna know my guy I trained. His name is Matthew Grant." Well, Matthew Grant was a player of mine who actually got City Player of the Year at Westchester High School, and he went over and played. Got recruited, went to Detroit. And he did well. But Elijah Stewart was a kid that I did not. It blew my mind. I was like, wow, he got drafted because Elijah is just like a raw type of player. He can shoot, but he shot the 3 ball well, and he's like a slasher.
Yeah.
He slashes to the basket, and I trained him a couple times, and wow, I just happened to look up on social media, and they said Elijah Stewart is signed with the Indiana Pacers and going there to going there and playing the summer league team to try to make the team. So I'm like, wow, what a
cool
role.
story.
A kid that I saw as a sophomore, looked into his eyes, trained this kid, and this kid makes it to the NBA. What a dream for that kid. I'm so happy for him and so proud of what he's done. He stayed with it. 4 years in college, graduated, went on to the NBA. He's in the NBA, and possibly he has an opportunity to make a roster. So shout out to Elijah Stewart, man. Go do your thing, brother.
That's a cool story there, Keith. Yeah, this is a guy, obviously, who did it the right way. You know, played all 4 years. He's going to be more so better ready for this next level by doing that.
Yeah.
As we've talked about many times here on Behind the Mic, we're both in favor of that. Guys, playing longer in college is better.
Yeah.
The guys are one and done most of the time, unless there's always exceptions.
Yeah.
But we know those don't grow on trees.
Exactly.
Most of the time, guys are not ready at all. They're not ready. There's no way they're ready at a mental standpoint, and they're usually not ready also from a physical standpoint.
No. It's an absolute, to me, guys should stay as long as they can in college. You know, I'll go back to the Michael Porter situation again, a guy that got, you know, I think if he stayed, everybody's like, oh, he should go get his money and this and that. No, I believe if he had stayed one more year, got himself right, Michael Porter Jr. would be a #1 draft pick. So, bottom line.
He was on a lot of boards projected to be #1 before all the injuries, and all he had to do, like you said, come back one more year to Missouri, prove that you're officially over the injury, 100% healthy now, and he easily would have skyrocketed back up to it. But nonetheless, he comes out this year.
Nonetheless.
Hey, I want to get into some of the Julian Edelman news as we touched on the NFL briefly. Officially appealed his 4-game suspension yesterday, Keith. And by all accounts, he's hired a great outside counsel to represent him, similar to what Tom Brady did a couple years ago in the Deflategate suspension. He's basically has hired different counsel. I believe that's worked on some NBA litigation cases here in the last couple of years or so. So well represented, Julian Edelman. No surprise in that regard. You know, my biggest thing about this whole thing is why hasn't the league come out and said specifically what that substance was that he violated, that, you know, he basically violated the drug test for. They have not announced what that substance is yet.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing because, you know, Julian Edelman being a receiver for one of the top teams in the league, it's possible, right? It's not too far from the imagination to kind of ponder over the fact that it's possible that he could have been somewhat privy to a new line, you know, groundbreaking treatment, groundbreaking substances to basically, that's legal, that really isn't even in the database yet, sort of say.
True.
You know what I mean? So to me, I think the NFL needs to be a lot more transparent with this. This is not the first time that we've seen this, and we've seen somewhat of a lack of transparency from the league handing down punishments.
Yeah.
But still, when you compare it to the fact that they were somewhat quick to bring down the hammer on Jameis Winston, and you know what I mean? And like it's almost like it's not comparable in the sense.
Well, you know, that's the thing. The NFL is dealing with a lot right now. I mean, we can go back even getting political, national anthems and all that stuff. They never put nothing in play for the athletes to have to stand up for their American flag. They never had anything in play. So the athletes be able to do whatever they want. And now they're trying to put that in play now. Well, it's too late. You shouldn't have done that. There's such a disarray with so many things and how they handle things, domestic violence issues that's happened. And like I've mentioned before, previously on this show, that's why a lot of more of their football players are probably getting in trouble the most out of any sport that's out there right now, because it's the lack of rulings that they have there. And they just out the blue just come out with these things and say, oh, you're suspended for a couple games, or you're this and that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, dude, I don't know. To me, to be honest with you, Brad, to me, they can fight it, but at the end of the day, he's going to end up still serving his suspension.
You think
and
so?
I think if he even makes them, the fact that he's even make them look bad, I think it doesn't even matter to them anymore. I think it's more of like their ruling and everything is so twisted and all messed up and things like that. They got a lot to work on over there, and they got to get themselves together. I think at the end of the day, Julian Edelman just served the 3-game suspension? 4-game suspension. Served the 4-game suspension. Because you're going to go on an ongoing battle, and something's going to happen for months going into the season. and it's ridiculous. It's like it's going to the same thing as the Ezekiel Elliott situation, and they were trying to come back and say something like, you don't want to get into all that. Just finish out the 4 games, and boom, take those suspension and keep moving on. Because I understand it. Maybe
what's his reputation though? That's the thing.
I think if it's his reputation, yes, you can fight it because of your reputation. I get all that, but at the end of the day, you still going. You can fight as much as you want. It's a lose-lose situation for him. He's going to lose it.
Maybe
he may lose. Maybe not. But and it's not because of him. I'm just saying because it's just the front office and how everything's just ran there. Yeah. That's why he loses it.
Again, though, to me, this is different than the Zeke Elliott situation because domestic violence and things were.
Well, Zeke didn't do the domestic violence. Yes,
accused. I should say accused because it was never proven at all. Never proven in a court of law. Charges were never even brought in that case. Let's just remind everybody once again on that one in the Elliott situation. But still, in the eyes of the NFL, how do we know that it was 100%? Something wasn't mishandled in some regard. So I think he's got a case here. I think that's the biggest bottom line to this is the Edelman camp has a case in this appeal, and I think he's got a good shot of it being maybe reduced. I don't know if it's going to be fully taken away, but maybe a good chance of it being reduced. And again, if any guy feels that their integrity has come under fire and their judgment, I always are on the side of a player to appeal this and to go throughout the process.
Yeah.
I think it's your reputation at stake.
Yeah.
And that's obviously very, very important. So you have to be able to try and make it right if you're Julian Edelman and you feel that way. And that's obviously why he's hired all this outside counsel to help him do so. So again, this is probably, buckle your seatbelt. Another one of these things we'll go through. And this is now the 3rd consecutive summer or maybe 4th consecutive summer now we've had this with somebody. And obviously now it's 2 Patriots within the last couple of seasons or so. Especially with Edelman coming off of the injury, he's got a lot to prove to begin with. If you think about that, and now this is kind of added to it. So this is a guy who's probably highly motivated right now on a lot of different fronts.
Yeah.
To obviously clear his name and to get back on the field. You obviously want to get back onto the field as soon as possible coming off of an injury.
Well, I believe
field, court, ice, whatever sport it may be.
Exactly. I believe if you feel that you're innocent and you should go, yes, the long limb because it's also about your reputation. And I get all that. But you know what? It didn't help his situation coming out and apologizing to the organization. If you didn't do anything wrong,
that's fair.
If you didn't do anything wrong, then why go out there and apologize? What did you do wrong? Why you apologize if you didn't do anything wrong? So my whole thing is like, look, I would have came out with something saying totally innocent of this. I'm going to be fighting it. I would have come out with that early. I would have waited for that than coming out and saying, well, I'm sorry. You're already showing that you're guilty then if you're doing that.
It's almost like, did that come out before he had a little more
information?
Yeah, or more, more people on his team to tell him what to put out?
But that's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. It's like, it's a give and take. It's like, well, why did you come out with this apology then if you didn't do anything wrong? And now that you're fighting it, like, does it?
One thing I can think of is he interpreted it as apology that he's just sorry that this just came out in general.
Yeah.
That it's a burden for the Patriots organization.
You know what? That his PR. I'm not going to say.
Should have had. I mean, yeah.
But you
and I would have done it differently.
I would have done it different.
Yeah.
I would have done it different, and I'm gonna leave it like that. Should have done it different. But look, I hope everything works out in his favor. But again, you're going against the brand of the NFL that's already in a whole disarray.
Tough thing.
Lawsuits. And
what's the biggest problem they have right now?
Oh, it has right now.
The
it's
NFL.
national anthem.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
See, I don't.
It is. Let me tell you why it is. It's because you're silencing athletes on their platform. You're trying to silence athletes on their platform, which they have their First Amendment right to do, and you had nothing in the contract based on that telling them that they couldn't do that. And now that you implement, now that your commander-in-chief's come out and said certain things, and then now you change it right then and there, that's where it's bad. And that's where it gets wrong, because now you're trying to silence them from that. You should have had something in play before. That's why you have teams coming out, athletes coming out, and they're having big feelings around right now about it. You don't see that in the NBA. Why? Because there's something in the contract that states that you will have to stand for the national anthem and everything that's going on. It's in the contract that they sign when they come into the thing. That was already done. They should have took a page off the NBA and the rest of these teams that do it, hockey, everything else, and they did it. They didn't have anything in that contract, and that's why when people are trying to use their platform to say something, now you're taking that away from them, and that's what I'm totally against. That's their biggest issue right now.
And that's huge. That's a hot button topic, obviously. It's in the visual public square, so I think that's why a lot of people think it. But to me, I still think the NFL's biggest problem right now is concussions and CTE, and how they're starting to, this was actually announced in the state of Illinois within the last week or two, there's some type of legislation that's being proposed in which they want to ban tackle football until at least kids reach the age of 12.
Yeah.
Or maybe even older, maybe even high school in some cases.
Yeah.
So you're having that trickle-down effect with all the concussions and the after effects that's causing at the highest level. It's all trickling down now to the lower levels in Pop Warner, high school, and beyond right now. I think that's the biggest thing with all these lawsuits they're facing with that. And also the fact that they continue to really deny a direct link between concussions and CTE onset eventually. To me, I still think that's the biggest thing. Again, the anthem is kind of in the public square form at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's getting a lot of attention. You can't see concussions, quote unquote.
That's true.
I still think concussions is one of the biggest things. We'll talk about this a lot more as we go on, but I think that's one of the biggest problems.
Hey, I just want to say something just before we end the air tonight, and I just and this happens to do with sports too, but things that's going on in the world, nothing political or anything like that. But I want to pray for that family out there in New York. I don't know if you heard about the whole incident of this kid that was stabbed to death with he went to a store. He got stabbed to death by this. He was mistaken.
What was this kid's name?
Louise.
I feel like I did hear about this.
Yeah, Louise is a kid in New York. I don't know his whole name. I don't want to get it wrong.
I feel like I heard
everybody
about
knows
this,
what we're talking about. This kid that was wrongly jumped. He was jumped by a local gang in New York.
Yeah,
and he was butchered to death, basically stabbed to death. It was fortunate. And basically, everybody in New York, everybody has come out. Everybody over there is put together, and they're like putting the GoFund app for him in the funeral and this and that, praying for the family. I just want to pray for the family and stuff. I saw a lot of the athletes. You see a lot of the athletes around here have been tweeting about it and been praying for the family, and I like to see that in terms of how the athlete and the whole athletic community. And this is not just in basketball, but this is also in baseball. I've seen athletes in baseball and football and all over. It's really shook a lot of people up, and they're really going in and they're really praying for the family and doing what they can to help that family through their grieving process. So I just want to say, man, I'm praying for that family and what's going on. And, it's a shame to see what's going on out here in the world. I just hope that, we can get better as a people. Everyone can come together like we see right now when people are grieving. But we got to come together to not let these things happen. We're so worried about what's going on with our commander-in-chief, but we're wiping out our own human race. Everybody out here, if we all come together as one, we can make things happen in this world. And I think instead of us doing this where we're just helping for grieving, we got to do this for that. So I just praying for that family. I hope that things work out in that community and stuff like that, like the athletes out here are doing. They're praying and helping them out. So we just, it's sad to see, but I hope as we all can come together as one right now, and these things don't happen anymore.
Well put. Couldn't have said it better, my friend. No, definitely. We hope everything works out for the best in that situation. Like you said, I echo the same. A lot of thoughts and prayers to that family.
Yeah.
Hey, awesome show tonight here from Patrick Malloy. It's always a lot of fun here on Tuesday nights.
Watch the World Cup.
I will now. That'll do it for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night from Grunion Sports Bar and Grill over in Manhattan Beach on Sepulveda Boulevard. Until then, for Keith, I'm Brad. Keep living the dream.
I didn't do that, dude. That thing should be up there. I saw that. I couldn't.